Hey, this is DetroitBob. You know, I've been going up to Michigan on these record runs, and every time I hit that 45 room, they keep telling me I got to talk to a guy named Tim. And I'm like, who the hell is this Tim guy? So the mystery man, Tim, finally I called ahead and I made an appointment with Tim. And I finally got to meet the man who built the 45 room. Maybe the only room dedicated to 45s in the Midwest. So you're going to want to meet this mystery man coming up in this episode, and you're going to see the haul that I pulled out of that room with Tim's assistant. Stay tuned. All right, Detroit Bob, today I'm the passenger, but I'm loving it. The pine trees, the clouds, the blue sky, the sunshine, and we're in northern Michigan. We're going to do some vinyl hunting, and I'm going to take you to a 45 room, reportedly the only one in the Midwest, and you're going to love this place, so stay tuned. All right, we're heading back up north, and that's what we call the part of Michigan where you get away from the rat race. So we're going to go looking for some vinyl. The sky is blue, and the weather is temperate, so we're going to see what we can dig up, and I've got an exclusive tour planned of the only 45 RPM room in the Midwest. You start to see a lot more pine trees, curvy roads, but it's a beautiful day in northern Michigan, and approaching town through sort of the rural area, and I'm getting ready to go vinyl hunting, and it's in season. I like this part of town because it's an old warehouse depot section that they've repurposed and made into a brewery and a nice high-end cocktail bar, and they got some wellness stuff. Looks like I'm following this guy to the nearest happy hour. I'm gonna get the lay of the land by hitting this happy hour at a place called Parlor. I've been here before, and it's like an old train depot. And this place rocks for happy hour. That is for sure. I used to come to this place when I was a young college student. It was an old train depot, but every weekend they had bands in there. And we would come down here, drink our beers, and listen to rock and roll. You know you're getting up north when you start seeing these babies. Guitars, Cadillacs, and hillbilly music. That's what I'm talking about. All right, Detroit Bob, back at you. Here we are at RPM Records, and I have a meeting set up with a guy named Tim. And Tim is the man that runs the room full of 45s. So he's right up my alley, and I hope we're going to get some good footage today. I know we're going to get some good 45s, so stay tuned. All right, here I am at RPM Records. I'm looking for a guy named Tim, so he's supposed to meet me today, so we'll see what happens. Let's do it. All right, they're open. Let's see what's going on. Hey, what's up, guys? Not much, man. Leland is here. I love it. I'm looking for a guy named Tim. Tim, what's up, man?
Hey, there you are.
Hey, thanks for helping me out. So you're going to give me a little tour?
Yeah, come on back.
Okay, cool. So tell me about this room, man.
Well, I asked Greg one day when he was moving the store from the old place to here. He said, "You want to do a 45 room?" He said, "Yeah, think about it. Get back with me in a couple days." He said, "Yeah, let's do it."
I mean, did he know that you had tons of 45s?
Yeah, I think so, because I kept coming in the store because he had a handful in his racks.
Right.
So I always grabbed a few here and there.
Right,
so
right.
He knew I was in the 45.
I mean, how did you decide how to lay it out? Give me the little mini tour.
This is totally different than what we had originally.
Okay.
We had bins and cardboard boxes under the bin. It was a mess. In the middle, I had 60s, 50s, 60s stuff. And then I had 70s, 80s, 90s.
Okay.
And he said, that's not working very well. I kind of agreed with him. And I built all these.
These are like you made your own little.
I did all this.
And it's pretty cool because they're lightweight.
You can take them out and put them on the shelf.
Right.
I got a new arrival here, but over here is record store day stuff, 90s, 2000, 2010, however you want to talk about that. A lot of strange groups in there.
So these guys from England I've been talking to, they're obsessed with something called Northern Soul.
Yeah.
What the hell is that?
I'm not exactly sure.
Either am I. Like you have soul music, right?
Riley would probably give you a better answer on that one.
Yeah, so
the more of that. I don't know, Northern Soul, Motown.
Motown to me is Northern Soul.
Some of the groups out of Chicago, maybe.
Right.
Some of the more bluesy.
I think it's more. Yeah, it's more like I think they weren't necessarily coming out on a big label, and I guess
independent labels.
Yeah, in Northern England they used to do like the DJs they would have in the 70s. In the 80s, they would have these dance parties, and they would play like one of the big ones was Tainted Love, but it was the original version by like someone, Gloria Mann or something like that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So like these songs, and then all these British guys grew up dancing to this stuff, and most of it's American R&B soul records. I'm going to leave you a list, and if you run across any of them, pull them for me, and we'll do something. Now, your Beatles, I noticed you got a separate section for them. I'm looking for a Beatles record. My holy grail is really Beatles on VJ, the first one, which is number 490. I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah, the stuff they released in '63, and it didn't sell because nobody knew who they were.
You're exactly right, Tim.
And this is the bracket, which they came out after '64.
Yes. And then the first one, it was Please Please Me backed with Ask Me Why. They misspelt the word Beatles with two T's. And Dick Biondi, who was a DJ.
I don't have any of that stuff in my collection either.
I know.
And there's some cool stuff in my collection, but
and then like someone says, well, you're never going to find it. Well, I'm never going to stop looking for it.
I'll find it.
I will find it.
I also have.
Yeah.
You got to go back, way back.
Holy cow, yeah. People don't realize, for you kids out there, those were your first records. They're actually cylinders.
Yep.
And that's what basically Edison played on his, what do they call it, a gramophone or something back then? And back in the 1800s,
late 1800s.
if you were going to buy recorded music, that's the way it came. So that was huge. And then the 45 came out, what in the 50s?
1949.
1949, okay.
Same with the albums.
Yes.
I always wondered why it took them so long to get away from 78.
Right.
It took them 50 years.
But what I'm trying to do is revive the love of the 45, and I want to definitely help you promote it and to help the store. And then obviously, it's very, very collectible for me to have a 45.
I've got some cool stuff at the house.
Yeah. What is it?
Nicodemus and Matches.
Oh, wow.
You ever heard of them?
Yeah, that sounds pretty rare.
Yeah, it's like $50.
Okay, so this is the extra special box.
Yeah, it's kind of low right now.
Okay, what's the most expensive record you've ever sold?
I don't know. We ran across that first Motown that one time came in.
First Motown Smokey Robinson thing. That was probably a good $1,000.
Was it a LP or a 45?
It was a 45.
Wow.
The most expensive is probably a.
Do you remember which song it was? It's probably something that wasn't even a hit. You know what I mean?
Sad Girl.
Okay.
Maybe.
At this point, Tim the Mystery Man and Riley had set the table, and it was time to start looking at some vinyl. A lot of the stuff was stuffed in these little boxes, but Tim's system made it incredibly easy to go through. And I was pulling out stuff left and right, examining it, and finding some good gems shoved into these little crates that Tim had designed and built. And what was sort of cool is I was just shouting out stuff that I needed, and Tim would just go pull the box and bring it over. Or eventually, I just started shouting out the name of the band, and Tim would just bring me a stack of what he thought I would like. He knew I liked the older label stuff, like this Dylan stuff. And when you see the Dylans and you see Rainy Day Women and there's 12 of them, you sort of know it's a common. But when you run across like a Rolling Stone or positively 4th Street, and there's just one odd one in there, you know you're hitting on something with a little bit more rarity. So that's what I'm looking for here. This one in particular, I wasn't quite sure, but Tim assured me it was something worthwhile. Hank Williams, not to be confused with Hank Williams Jr. When you get these older MGM EPs, pick them up. You'll recognize the songs like Move It On Over by George Thorogood and all the old Hank Williams songs that everybody has covered. He'll appear on these reissues also. So keep your eyes peeled for Hank Williams, not necessarily Hank Williams Jr., but Hank Williams Sr., especially on the old yellow MGM labels. So that's a good one to always look for. It always has value. It's got playing value. It's got Americana value. It's got resale value. And Hank is really one of the best songwriters of all time. A lot of the commons, I call them, are mixed in, and you just got to be patient. You're going to learn to flip fast with one hand, and if you're like me, you can even film with the other. But I'm going to try to do a lot of the homework for you, so when you can go through there, you can be a pattern recognition machine. And you should look at label first, then zero in on the artist. One of the things that you'll get good at after you start cataloging is looking for age of the label also. Certain changes came about in the 60s and so forth. Hey, even a Jack White, so don't pass up the modern punk stuff. The artwork on this stuff is really exceptional a lot of times, but this is where I find a lot of my White Stripes and Jack White Third Man Record stuff. So these are more common, more upfront, and a lot of times more expensive. And I'm not into modern punk. It's probably one of my least favorite genres. I like the old stuff like the Ramones, the Clash, Billy Idol, that kind of stuff. But it's still worth a sweep to go through this bin, because that's where I found my Jack White. So definitely getting near the end of my little trip here. Tim was a great host. He's just such a cool guy. We were best buddies by the time I left. And now that I know his system a little bit better, I'm going back. As a matter of fact, I planted the seed where he might bring in some of his private stuff that he's collected that he will never sell. But just for our viewers, it would be nice to see his stash of Grateful Dead 45s. I certainly would like to see that, because I've very rarely run into Grateful Dead out in the field, just in the dust bins. So you might find an occasional touch of gray, but you're not going to find, your Sugar Magnolias or your Casey Jones stuff. It just wasn't that prevalent in what was out there. It got sort of sucked up by all the collectors and all the deadheads. Be careful on your reissues. You're going to see, this Michelle Shocked. She had a great hit in the 80s called Anchorage. I always loved that song. All right, time to check out. All right, Riley, let's do the deal, man. I love that guy. He was awesome. So,
Question mark in the Mysterian.
yeah, I got some old stuff, some new stuff.
Medium stuff.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Oh yeah, hats off to Riley too. He's usually the guy that greets you when you walk into the door of this place, and he usually is also the guy that picks up the phone. And I think Riley's sort of the go-to of the store if you have any specific questions or you want some specific knowledge on some obscure pressing. So keep an eye open for him. And also make sure you pet Leland the dog and say hello to the new guy. All in all, RPM has been very helpful. I recommend them as a regional store for anybody who collects in northern Michigan or likes to vacation up there, road trip, or just wants to stop in while they're out on the winery tour or in cherry country for some good vinyl and some good music. Definitely they go overboard to try to please you and to try to make things reasonable. Okay. And then, like I said, I'll try to feature you guys in another video. Look it up, Rockmine, all one word on YouTube. And definitely appreciate everything you guys do. And I want to help you guys grow your business.
Yeah.
Check out the stash that I got out of the record room. Right here, baby. I'm talking a full, chock-full bag of 45s with the help of the maestro, Tim. I'm talking, we got some Hank Williams. Look at these records. Bob Seger, Question Mark in the Mysterians. All over, old Cameo. Terry Knight the Pack. This is just stuff you don't find in other states right there. Ted Nugent and the Amboy Dukes. Look at that on Mainstream. Here's the stereo version. Okay, Apple. You ever hear of Badfinger? They used to be called the Ivies before they were Badfinger. The Rationals on A Squared. That's Ann Arbor. This is, you don't find this on this label. Look at this stuff. Kinks. Lola. I just loaded up on Tired of Waiting for You. Look at all this Kinks stuff. Original, early Kinks. You don't find it everywhere. So I loaded up. I got doubles. I got triples on Lola. I got quadruples on Lola. All the way through. And you really got me. You remember that? You know who played on that? That was Jimmy Page when he was a studio musician. Lay Lady Lay by Bob Dylan. And then look at that, Like a Rolling Stone. Look at how clean that is. That is the #1 rock and roll song of all times. And when you find that on Very Good Plus, you grab it. Some more Dylan, some more obscure Dylan. Back into the Hank Williams. Look at this stuff. It's just incredibly good, rare. Yeah, I got a Jack White and the White Stripes. You don't find this just laying around anywhere. There we go. We got some Talking Heads. Are they popular now or what? Look at this. It's just some obscure reggae label. I'm buying that when it's only $3. Another Third Man Records, a couple chicks on guitars. Michelle Shock, the one song, Anchorage, that I love from her. Right on down the line, you got some Fleetwood Mac. And Tim was just pulling this stuff off the shelf and just feeding it to me. So it was very, very good buy. You got to love the Flying Lizards. Look at the artwork. Bizarre New Wave UK band. And whenever I can get a UK import, I'm buying it. Some Shooter Jennings. Lenny Kravitz. He's going to end up in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You might as well pick up his stuff now. A picture disc. Both sides are very good on that. So I'm going to let you know out of this little batch what the key one, the gem of the week is, and that'll be coming up in just a minute. Here it is, the gem of the week, Bob Dylan, Like a Rolling Stone, coming in at 6 minutes, which was unheard of at the time. The famous Searing Organ by Al Cooper, backed with Gates of Eden. Look at the condition on this thing. This thing is just pristine. It's a 7-inch vinyl, 45 RPM single. It's on styrene and pressed in Terre Haute, just down the road from here. U.S. is the country of origin. The genre is rock. The style is folk rock, pop rock. Once again, 6 minutes long. That's unheard of on a 45. 1,230 have it, 214 want it. Median value 5, but high value is 65. I put this baby on Discogs. I think it's going to sell for $50. This is our gem of the week, and this is what you find when you meet a guy like Tim. So thumbs up to RPM Records. Check out Detroit Bob on Discogs, and we'll see you next week.